There is no excuse for this alleged behavior.
That you can have an absolutely great career and have that career almost immediately and entirely derailed by a single really stupid act is really chilling.
News anchors are supposed to deliver the news, but sometimes they become the news. From on-air meltdowns to hot mic disasters and shocking scandals, these TV personalities went from prime time to unemployed in the blink of an eye. Whether it was a jaw-dropping mistake,
Gay and shit.
Good evening, I'm Van Tu. You may have seen our newest...
a heated argument, or an off-screen scandal that ended their run, one thing is certain: these news anchors got fired in the most unbelievable ways.
Tonight, the breaking news here at NBC News. Matt Lauer fired after a complaint about inappropriate sexual behavior.
Buckle up, because we're counting down 20 shocking cases of journalists who lost it all. And trust us, some of these firings will leave you speechless. Let's dive in.
CBS News has suspended anchor Charlie Rose following allegations of sexual misconduct.
20. Matt Lauer's termination from NBC. For more than 2 decades, Matt Lauer was America's trusted morning news anchor, the face of NBC's Today Show. He was untouchable, or so it seemed. That all changed on November 29, 2017, when NBC dropped a bombshell. Matt Lauer had been fired, effective immediately. Viewers were stunned.
Tonight, the breaking news here at NBC News. Matt Lauer fired after a complaint about inappropriate sexual behavior.
What could he have done to warrant such a swift and brutal termination? Then the details started pouring in. A colleague had filed a detailed complaint accusing Lauer of grossly inappropriate workplace behavior, and NBC knew they couldn't bury it. More allegations surfaced, and there were lots more. Reports claimed Lauer had a secret button under his desk that could lock his office door from the inside. It was like something out of a horror movie. NBC wasted no time erasing Lauer's legacy. His face was wiped from promotional materials. His name was scrubbed from the show's history. One day, he was the king of morning television. The next, he was a ghost. Lauer tried to defend himself, calling some accusations exaggerated or untrue, but it was too late. His name became synonymous with disgrace, and his career dead on arrival. 19. Charlie Rose's firing. For years, Charlie Rose was the king of serious journalism. His signature interview show ran for 26 years, attracting world leaders, celebrities, and business moguls. But behind the scenes, Rose had a disturbing secret, one that would end his career in a single day. And it did. He got fired.
CBS News has suspended anchor Charlie Rose following allegations of sexual misconduct.
In November 2017, 8 women came forward with shocking allegations. They accused Charlie of making inappropriate advances toward female employees. The most disturbing detail? He allegedly walked around without any clothing in front of young female staffers while working from home. The fallout was instant and brutal. CBS and PBS didn't wait. They just fired him immediately. The Charlie Rose Show, which was once a respected staple of journalism, was canceled on the spot. Charlie tried to apologize and claimed he had acted insensitively, but no one was buying it. His A-list connections vanished overnight and his career was completely erased. Years later, in 2022, he attempted a comeback interview with Warren Buffett. But the public had already moved on. The legendary journalist was now a disgraced outcast, and his career, reputation, and legacy burned to the ground. 18. Piers Morgan's departure from Good Morning Britain. Piers Morgan has never been one to hold back his opinions, but in 2021, his blunt commentary led to his dramatic departure from Good Morning Britain. The controversy erupted after Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's explosive interview with Oprah Winfrey, during which Meghan spoke openly about her struggles with mental health. Piers openly dismissed her claims, expressing deep skepticism, a stance that triggered a wave of backlash. Over 40,000 complaints were filed with Ofcom, the UK's media regulator, making it one of the most complained about moments in British television history. The tension reached its peak live on air when co-host Alex Beresford confronted Piers about his relentless criticism of Meghan.
I'm sure, you will be right behind me, and I'll be right behind you.
Alex suggested that Piers's views were fueled by personal resentment, as Meghan had previously cut ties with him. Unwilling to continue the conversation, Piers abruptly walked off set, declaring, "I'm done with this."
Okay, I'm done with this.
No.
Sorry, no. Sorry.
So, do you know what? That's pathetic.
You can track him, maybe not mine.
No.
Though he eventually returned, the damage was done. Following the on-air incident, ITV announced that Morgan would be leaving GMB, effective immediately.
And we'll be surprised that Piers Morgan is not here this morning.
While Morgan claimed he quit, many speculated that he was actually fired or forced out due to the backlash over his comments about Markle. 17. Don Lemon's firing from CNN. Don Lemon was one of CNN's biggest stars, holding down the network's primetime slot for 17 years. But in April 2023, he woke up to shocking news. He had been fired.
As you may have heard yesterday, CNN parted ways with anchor Don Lemon. In a statement, CNN CEO Chris Licht thanked Don for his contributions over the past 17 years.
And the worst part? He found out through his agent. So what went wrong? Some pointed to his tense on-air clash with GOP candidate Vivek Ramaswamy, where Lemon lost his temper and accused him of lying about Black history. Others pointed to his controversial remarks about women when he said Republican candidate Nikki Haley was past her prime.
Politicians or something and not in their prime. Nikki Haley isn't in her prime.
Either way, Lemon was furious. He took to Twitter to blast CNN, saying, "After 17 years, I would have thought someone in management would have the decency to tell me directly." But CNN quickly fired back, calling his statement inaccurate. For CNN, enough was enough. Lemon had racked up too many controversies, and the network decided it was time to cut ties. Just like that, one of CNN's most recognizable faces was out of a job. 16. Jeffrey Toobin, the Zoom call that ended it all. It was supposed to be a normal work meeting. Jeffrey Toobin, CNN's senior legal analyst, joined a Zoom call with colleagues from The New Yorker in October 2020. But in a moment of unbelievable recklessness, Toobin did something that left everyone horrified. During a break in the meeting, Toobin, thinking his camera was off, engaged in an explicit act on camera. His colleagues saw everything. The call was instantly shut down, and the team was shocked. Some couldn't believe what they had just witnessed. Word spread fast, and within hours, Toobin was suspended by The New Yorker and placed on leave from CNN, but the damage was done. Weeks later, The New Yorker decided there was no coming back from this. Toobin was officially fired after 27 years at the magazine. CNN, however, hesitated. 8 months later, they quietly brought him back, which was a move that outraged many viewers. Toobin tried to laugh off the incident, saying it was a stupid mistake, but his credibility never recovered. In 2022, Toobin left CNN for good. Whether he jumped or was pushed remains unclear, but his reputation completely shattered. 15. Mark Mester criticizes station on air and instantly regrets it. When KTLA news anchor Lynette Romero was suddenly forced out of the network in September 2022, viewers were furious. But no one was angrier than her co-anchor, Mark Mester. And instead of staying quiet, he went rogue, live on air. Mester ignored the teleprompter and launched into an angry, unscripted rant about how KTLA had treated Romero. He called out the station for not letting her say goodbye to viewers, accused them of handling her exit poorly, and even played a pre-recorded tribute to her, one that KTLA had refused to air. It was a bold move, but one that sealed his fate. Just days later, Mester was suspended, and then fired. Sources inside KTLA revealed that after his rant, Mester shouted obscenities at staff and even stormed out of a meeting with executives. It was clear there was no coming back from this. Mester tried to defend himself and claimed he was just standing up for his friend. Fans backed him and slammed KTLA for being cold and heartless, but the station didn't budge. Mark Mester was out for good. 14. Natasha Exelby's on-air blunder. Australian news anchor. Natasha Exelby had one job: deliver the news smoothly and professionally. But in 2017, she made a mistake that instantly went viral and cost her on-air role. Exelby was reading the news on ABC 24 when the broadcast cut back to her too soon. Instead of looking poised and ready, she was staring at her pen, completely zoned out. When she finally realized the camera was live, her wide-eyed, panicked reaction was comedy gold. Within minutes, the internet exploded. Viewers turned the split-second blunder into memes, GIFs, and even reaction videos. It was harmless fun, or so she thought. But behind the scenes, ABC executives were not amused. The next day, Exelby was quietly pulled from her regular on-air shifts. The network denied firing her and insisted she was still an employee, but she was never given another news reading role again. Exelby fired back and claimed she had been punished unfairly for a harmless mistake. The backlash against ABC was so strong that other Australian journalists started sharing their own on-air bloopers in solidarity. Exelby went on to pursue other opportunities, but her time as a serious news anchor officially over. 13. Lisa LaFlamme fired for letting her hair go gray. Lisa LaFlamme had everything: a 35-year career, multiple awards, and the trust of an entire nation. But then, in 2022, she was abruptly fired. The reason? Her gray hair. LaFlamme had embraced her natural silver locks and stopped dyeing her hair during the pandemic. Viewers loved it, but higher-ups at Canada's CTV News allegedly didn't. Reports surfaced that executives wanted a younger look, and LaFlamme's decision to go gray might have sealed her fate. Her dismissal sparked instant outrage. Was this a case of ageism and sexism in the media industry? Many thought so. LaFlamme had been a respected anchor for decades, covering war zones, major elections, and global crises. Yet, after all that, it seemed her hair color mattered more than her work. CTV denied the decision was about her hair, but the public wasn't buying it. Brands like Wendy's even changed their logo to feature a gray-haired Wendy, showing support for LaFlamme. In the end, she landed on her feet, but the scandal forever changed the conversation around women, aging, and media bias. 12. KFYR TV affiliate's first and final broadcast. Imagine getting your dream job only to lose it in under 30 seconds. That's exactly what happened to AJ Clemente, whose first day as a news anchor at NBC affiliate KFYR TV became his last. It was April 2013, and Clemente was about to introduce himself to viewers for the first time. But just as the show went live, he was caught on a hot mic, mumbling profanity to himself. His words? His co-anchor tried to save the moment, but it was too late. Viewers had already heard everything. The video instantly went viral, spreading like wildfire across the internet. Social media had a field day, and clips of Clemente's blunder made it onto national news. The station had no choice. He was immediately suspended and fired the next day. Clemente tried to laugh it off, appearing on the Today Show and even the Late Show with David Letterman, but the damage was irreversible. News stations need flawless professionalism, and Clemente had blown it on his first try. Despite his efforts to rebuild his career, he never landed another high-profile anchor job. One mic slip, and his career was over before it began. 11. Subscribers Pick. Now, let's dive into today's Subscribers Pick. Earlier this week, one of our viewers sent us an image along with a story that has sparked quite the debate. According to the message, the woman in this image was recently fired from a local TV program for what was deemed inappropriate dressing. The situation? She had been on a date, ran late for work, and didn't have time to change before going on air. While she was allowed to do the show, the moment it ended, she was called into the office and informed that her appearance was unacceptable. Shortly after, she was let go, with management stating they were considering someone else for the position. When this story broke, it didn't take long for opinions to flood in. Some were outraged, not just by the firing itself, but by the hypocrisy. If her outfit was truly unacceptable, why was she allowed to go on air in the first place? Was this really about professionalism, or was it about control? Others argued that, as a public figure on television, she had a responsibility to maintain a certain standard, and showing up in anything less was unprofessional, regardless of the circumstances. So, where do we draw the line? Should there be more flexibility when real-life situations arise, or is image everything in the world of television? Let's hear your thoughts. 10. Lydia Cumming gets carried away. In journalism, optics are everything. But Mexican reporter Lydia Cumming learned this the hard way when one embarrassing photo destroyed her credibility and her job. In 2017, Cumming was covering severe flooding in Puebla, Mexico. She was supposed to report on how locals were struggling, but instead, she became the story. A now infamous photo showed two villagers carrying Cumming over floodwaters so her shoes wouldn't get wet. Instead of braving the conditions like other reporters or taking off her shoes, she looked like royalty being lifted by her servants. The backlash was instant and brutal. Social media erupted with outrage, calling her entitled, privileged, and out of touch. The image was shared thousands of times, with people mocking her lack of professionalism. Her network, TV Azteca, acted fast. Within hours, she was suspended, and shortly after, she was fired. Cumming tried to defend herself and claimed the villagers had insisted on carrying her. But it didn't matter. The damage was done. In an era where journalists need public trust, she became a symbol of everything wrong with modern reporting. And for TV Azteca, she was too much of a PR nightmare to keep around. 9. Rick Sanchez's career-ending radio rant. CNN had given Rick Sanchez a platform. He had a daily show, a strong reputation, and millions of viewers. But one interview destroyed everything. In 2010, Sanchez appeared on a satellite radio show and went completely off script. He lashed out at Jon Stewart, calling him a bigot, and then made things even worse by ranting about Jewish people controlling the media. Sanchez claimed he was just frustrated that CNN didn't take him seriously, but attacking one of the most powerful groups in media? A huge mistake. CNN acted swiftly by firing him within 24 hours. The fallout was brutal. No major network would touch him after his remarks. Even Jon Stewart took pity, saying he didn't think Sanchez deserved to be fired. But the industry disagreed. Sanchez later apologized, claiming he had been exhausted and wasn't thinking clearly. But it was too late. From being a primetime host on CNN to completely vanishing from mainstream news, Sanchez destroyed his career in just a few minutes of reckless speech. 8. Bob Beckel's off-camera comment that got him axed. Fox News is known for fiery debates and bold opinions, but even they have a line you can't cross, and Bob Beckel crossed it. In 2017, Beckel was a co-host on The Five, one of Fox's most popular shows. He was known for his outspoken, sometimes controversial takes. But this time, he didn't get fired for something he said on air. He got fired for something he said behind the scenes. According to reports, Beckel made an insensitive and racially offensive comment to a black colleague. When confronted, he allegedly tried to dismiss it, but the damage was done. Fox News was already facing internal scandals and unwilling to take any risks. They fired Beckel immediately. This wasn't his first exit from Fox. In 2015, he was fired due to substance misuse issues, only to be rehired in 2017. But this time, there were no second chances. Beckel later tried to defend himself, claiming the incident was blown out of proportion. But for Fox News, the decision was final. For someone who thrived on controversy, this was one controversy too far, and it cost him everything. 7. Vic Faust's rant ends his career. Some news anchors lose their cool on air, but Vic Faust lost his job off air after an explosive, profanity-filled tirade was caught on tape. Back in his early career, Faust was working at a St. Louis news station when he had a meltdown like no other. Frustrated over a segment, he launched into a rant throwing around every curse word imaginable at his female co-anchor. The problem was that the whole thing was recorded. Soon, the tape made its way to station executives, and they were not amused. Newsrooms might have their share of behind-the-scenes tension, but Faust's angry, unhinged outburst was too much. Once the recording went public, backlash was immediate. Viewers and listeners demanded his firing, calling his behavior unprofessional and toxic. Faust initially tried to defend himself, but the damage was done. Within days, his TV station, Fox 2, fired him. His radio job soon followed. Years of credibility, wiped out in one heated off-air moment. Faust learned the hard way. Even what you say off-camera can ruin your career. 6. Matt Gutman's career-altering mistake. When breaking news hits, journalists must get the facts right. But ABC News correspondent Matt Gutman learned the hard way what happens when you don't. On January 26, 2020, Gutman was covering the tragic helicopter crash that took the life of NBA legend Kobe Bryant. In the rush to report the story, he made a shocking claim. He falsely reported that all 4 of Bryant's daughters were on board. That wasn't true. In reality, only one of Bryant's daughters, Gianna, was among the victims. The false report spread rapidly, adding unnecessary pain to an already heartbreaking situation. ABC immediately faced backlash for spreading incorrect information about such a sensitive event. They were forced to issue a correction, but the damage had been done. As the face of the report, Gutman took the fall. ABC suspended him indefinitely, citing serious concerns about journalistic integrity. Though he was later reinstated, the scandal permanently stained his credibility. In 2023, ABC let him go for good, reportedly due to budget cuts. But many suspect his inaccuracy in such a major moment played a role. For Gutman, one bad report didn't just lead to suspension, it derailed his career. 5. Ed Schultz fired over off-air rant. Ed Schultz was once a powerful voice on MSNBC. He was known for his fiery personality and outspoken views. As the host of The Ed Show, he built a loyal following by tackling progressive issues and standing up for the working class. But behind the scenes, his battles with MSNBC executives would cost him his job. Schultz was never afraid to challenge authority, and that included his own network. In 2015, he claimed MSNBC deliberately sidelined voices like his in favor of more corporate-friendly personalities. He was particularly furious when executives blocked him from covering Bernie Sanders' 2016 campaign launch. This led him to claim they were trying to push a pro-Hillary Clinton agenda. Shortly after, MSNBC axed his show without warning. Schultz believed it was punishment for refusing to follow the network's political direction. Later, he joined RT America, where he openly blasted MSNBC for being controlled by corporate interests. But despite his attempts to fight back, his firing from MSNBC marked the end of his mainstream media career. 4. News anchor fired for a hip-hop joke. Sometimes one sentence is all it takes to end a career. That's exactly what happened to a white, middle-aged female Mississippi news anchor who thought she was just being playful.
Good evening, Americans, and welcome to The Ed Show from New York tonight.
During a live talk show segment, the discussion turned to Snoop Dogg, and in an attempt to keep things light, Barbie Bassett jokingly responded with, "For shizzle, my nizzle." The phrase, made famous by Snoop himself, was instantly recognized by viewers, and many found it harmless, even hilarious. Some even argued that Snoop Dogg himself would have laughed it off. But not everyone was laughing. Within hours, the clip spread like wildfire, and the station faced backlash from corporate higher-ups. The anchor was suddenly out of a job, and social media exploded with outrage, not at her, but at her firing. Many saw it as another example of a harmless joke being blown out of proportion. Even fans of hip-hop culture pushed back, insisting there was nothing offensive about what she said. Despite the controversy, the network stood by its decision, and the anchor never returned to the air. But was it a necessary move or a complete overreaction? 3. Shaker Al-Johari's on-air brawl. News debates can get heated, but Jordanian journalist Shaker Al-Johari took things to a whole new level. During a live TV discussion, Al-Johari got into a tense argument with another guest over Middle Eastern politics. As the disagreement escalated, both men stood up, pointing fingers and yelling over each other. Al-Johari threw a punch, and suddenly, the TV studio turned into a full-blown wrestling match. The set was destroyed as cameras captured the shocking moment of papers flying, chairs tipping over, and crew members scrambling to intervene. It was one of the most insane on-air fights ever broadcast. The clip went viral instantly, with viewers in disbelief over what they had just witnessed. Al-Johari was immediately suspended, and soon after, he was gone for good. Many saw the outburst as completely unprofessional, while others argued it was just a raw display of passion in a high-stakes debate. Regardless, it ended with one journalist out of a job and one of the wildest live TV moments in history. 2. Turkish newscaster fired over a Starbucks cup. Imagine losing your job over a coffee cup. That's exactly what happened to a Turkish newscaster who was caught sipping Starbucks during a live broadcast. At first, it seemed like a harmless, everyday moment. The cup sat on her desk as she delivered the news, barely noticeable. But viewers noticed. The problem? The war in Gaza had turned Starbucks into a pariah due to controversy. Many in Turkey believed the company was tied to political causes they opposed. The sight of a Starbucks cup on national television was enough to spark outrage. Turkish social media erupted into chaos. Calls for her immediate firing flooded in, and within hours, her fate was sealed. The station caved to the pressure and cut ties with her immediately. Critics blasted the decision, calling it ridiculous and unfair. After all, was she endorsing Starbucks or just drinking coffee? To this day, her firing remains one of the strangest examples of political sensitivities colliding with journalism. She may have just wanted caffeine, but what she got was a career-ending controversy. 1. Ken Rosato's hot mic nightmare. Some news anchors get fired for bad reporting, others get fired for controversial opinions, but Ken Rosato? He got fired for a comment he didn't even know was broadcasted. Rosato was a longtime morning news anchor at WABC, co-hosting Eyewitness News This Morning for 20 years. But in May 2023, his career came to a screeching halt, all because of a hot mic. During what he thought was an off-air moment, Rosato made an offensive comment about a colleague. Exactly what he said remains unknown, but sources claim it was bad enough to get him instantly fired. WABC wasted zero time. Within hours, Rosato was gone and completely wiped from the station. There was no farewell broadcast, no on-air goodbye. Just like that, 20 years were erased. Rosato's team scrambled for damage control by claiming he didn't use a racial slur, but even they refused to clarify what he actually said. That only made speculation worse. Rosato had built a strong reputation over the years, and his viewers were shocked by the sudden firing. But one thing was clear. There was no saving his job. Just like that, another anchor was taken down by a live mic. Do you think any of these journalists deserved a second chance? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching this video with us and catch you in the next one.